Go download my free legato course right now and learn to play fast in the fastest way possible. How do you learn to play solos? You know, if you're a beginner at this, what is the actual discipline of learning how to play solos? Most people don't know. We just start doing something, right? In fact, the magic formula, or what we mostly move by, is the formula of trying. That's what we equate practicing with. Well, you just have to try, don't you? Right? And then if we try enough, then suddenly we will get the skill. But that is not the case for most people. So when you start building your soloing skills, what are you really trying to build, right? What is soloing skills? Because one thing is scale skills, right? Knowing where to put your fingers, what notes you can use, and what notes sound good over the chords in the background. That's one thing, right? Learning scales. Then the theory, right? What scales can you use when? What arpeggios can you use? And you can learn arpeggio shapes as well across the fretboard. And by all means, learn as much of that as you possibly can. This video is not about that. It's about soloing. It's not about the tools of soloing. If you have a hammer, can you build stuff? Yes, you can, with that tool alone, right? If you have a whatever, you know, even if you don't have a lot of tools, then you can still build something that's of value. But you need to figure out what is soloing so you can practice it. If we don't know what it is, but we just see it as like a bundle of a lot of skills, then we can't practice specifically what it's about. Once we know it, we can practice soloing. We can take just a couple of notes or one scale shape or whatever it is, and then we can start creating some really cool solos, and we can start improvising from day one. Seriously, right? You might, need a lot of theory or some theoretical knowledge to know exactly what scales to use or what chords, but you can learn that. Anyone can learn that, but practice soloing specifically, that's another thing. So how do you do it? Well, soloing is, as I've said many times before, is associating. So when I'm speaking, I'm associating all the time. It's like a sentence is like a string of pearls, right? You say one thing, that reminds you of another you need to say, and then you say the next thing and the next thing. The same thing goes for soloing. If I go like something extremely simple, like we just have a rhythm, like that, right? If I then go, and you, in your head, what do you hear when I play that? Just imagine there being a little pause, and I play something. What do you hear as to come after that, right? What is your brain associating? I know you can do this. If I go, right? That is a lot of little sentences that I play because of what I just played. If you go, I just heard a repetition, right? So I go, then I heard a change to that repetition, right? Or that repetition. Right? So soloing is associating. This is important because that's exactly what it is. And if you can practice that, then you're practicing soloing. But the key is to limit your skills, limit your tools to the skills you actually have, right? You can't go out and practice scale shapes as you try to practice soloing. You can't go out and practice licks at the same time you're practicing soloing. Practice soloing. You get there fastest by actually aiming for it. So you diminish the amount of skills. You reduce the amount of tools that you need. And then you start practicing with what you have, right? Makes sense, right? You got, okay, I know this first position scale shape, but I know it best on the two middle strings, so I'm just stick to, in this case, I was in C. Let's just play this chord progression in B. So I got my minor pentatonic in B here, in the 7th fret. I got that right now, so I go, so I got a B, then I got a B minor with the A in the bass. and then G in the bass, and then we go to the dominant. And then I can play my minor pentatonic, right? But I just stick to the 2 middle strings because that's where I'm safest. And then I listen intensely for the chords and what I play. Stop playing. Stop all that, right? You can always put that in afterwards, after you have your framework of associating from line to line. So, let me just slightly less. So, even here, right, I'm just gonna pick the 7th, the 9th fret, maybe slide up to the 11th fret on the G string. Maybe a diatonic note in the 6th fret. So I'm just gonna take 4 notes on 1 string. And then I'm going to listen for how those notes sound over what goes on in the background. And this seems artsy, but it isn't. This is... Oops. Right? That's soloing. That's practicing soloing. I'm not thinking about scale shapes because I got my notes laid out right there. All I'm thinking about is the chords and how it sounds, how the notes sound and what notes sound really good over what chord. That's a melancholic note, right? Let's say I have no phrasing skills whatsoever. Can't do vibrato, can't do sliding. All I can do is pick a note, right? I can still listen for the... Oh, no vibrato, sorry. It's hard not to do phrasing. Slide it again. Right? So that's basically it. And the 2 most fundamental skills that you need to play solos. The only 2 things you need is rhythm skills and a couple of notes. Right? That's what you need. Once you got those down, if you don't have the rhythm skills, what are rhythm skills? Let's define it again. Like we defined soloing. It's associating. But limit yourself to something that you can really associate within. Instead of having 1,000 scale shapes, or your brain is preoccupied with where you're going to put your finger down next time, instead of associating. Right? You should go... Right? It should be like speaking on those 3 notes. Oh, that's too simple. I want to play impressive rock solos, Claus. Well, that's what comes next. Once you have that framework, you'll never have to be worried about where the next note is going to come from, if you're going to run out of licks or ideas, because you never do, because you can associate all day without running out of licks or ideas. It's simply what your brain does. You're thinking every single day, 24/7, right? When you sleep, even. Right? You're thinking all the time. You're associating all the time. So why would you ever run out of ideas? It's simply because we approach it in the wrong way. If you start practicing soloing like this, then the brain gets that it's a game, that it's doing all the time anyway. Just with the notes, right? And so, but rule number 1, limit your tools to what you have actually mastery over, right? And if that's 2 notes, right, and a sliding technique, that's it, right? But you need rhythm skills as well, because that's half of the equation, right? So if I got like that, then I can put notes to that, but it starts with me tapping my foot 1, 2, 3, 4, and then being able to... Right? If I can do the rhythm, then suddenly I can do a drum solo with 1 note. When I take that drum solo, and I add some phrasing to it. Right? With the rhythm, then I have something that almost starts to sound like a solo. This is pro stuff, right? You got control here. Now I add just a couple notes. Let me see if I can just turn up the music here. So we get. Let me just dive down here. Okay, let's rock. Right? All those notes I'm adding, that's just, that's a secondary thing. It's the rhythm that's important. Really, it is. So, when's the next level? Well, the next level is when you start, being able to do some flashy stuff, but it's always mounted on top of that ability to associate rhythm and notes. So, right? It's all the same thing. I'm still associating. See, most people, including myself, were all focused on the technique and all of that. And I was just suffering because every time I was playing with somebody, I just was suffering just to play a decent solo, right? This is really the mistake we make when we aim for this instead of this and then add this onto that. Right? That's really the way of going about it. But you can do both at the same time. You can practice all kinds of tapping, flashy stuff, playing behind your neck with your teeth and so on. And you can do this, right? Where you take just a couple of notes and just work with them. Work with your rhythm skills, the basic rhythm skills of tapping your foot. Never, never, ever not tapping your foot when you're playing, all right? And then having and being able to just play one note, then develop two notes. Then you can put in those fast runs if you want to, right? And everything else. But so, limitation and association, freely associating in your mind with a limited amount of tools that you can really control. And then the two areas of rhythm and notes. And most often where people need to do some work, some fast work, it's easy to become very good at rhythm. It really is compared to all the other things we have to learn on this instrument. Rhythm is easy, just get a handle. If you focus on that, I promise you, your soloing skills will explode over the next 3, 4, 5 months. From, perhaps where you don't want to be to where you just want to be. Subscribe for more free videos. Do it. Do it now. Do it.